anyway, you don't need to know about Nikki and I. These are on every week, and everyone that's on the call already knows that you don't need to register again. And next week, after the questions we had on ranking and local search and stuff like that, I've dedicated next week's Quickie to that as well, just to try and answer a few other questions that have come through. Our guest presenter today is Ian Park from Ian Parker International, building rapport tips for sales success. And I'll just make sure I can see everyone. So I'm going to go to that screen, and that's why I can see everyone. Sometimes when we record this, everyone turns up down the right-hand side of the screen. But that's the way I can see everyone. So anyway, so many people want to get more exposure, and yet they don't promote themselves. They don't promote the things they're on and stuff like that. So things like this is a perfect time for you to build your exposure. So when people are checking you out online, because that's how people do it these days, they can see that you're actually active and you're doing stuff and seeing that you're involved. So I suggest you just jump onto Facebook and share, or even just check in at this event. And you can hold your phone up there, and there's an easy link to go and do it. Okay, so if you drop off this, and for every Quickie, it's the same URL, it's the same ID, it's the same password. And if you've registered for one, you don't need to register for any others again. So, so I'd like to welcome Ian. Ian's owned and operated successful high award in businesses for over 35 years. His last business he took from a receivership to 20 million in turnover in 5 years. In 2009, he founded the Ian Parker Management Group of companies based on industry's needs for more real-world sales training and mentoring programs. Ian now coaches and consults with all types of businesses with a hands-on, realistic approach. Offers real life strategies the businesses need. He also provides sales and leadership training, both online and on-site for all types of businesses. So, Ian, I'll pass over to you.
All right, thank you. Thanks, everyone. So, I guess, you know, what we want to talk about is building trust and rapport, and the, you know, the best way to build trust and rapport with your clients today is make a promise and keep it. So that's the first thing to do if you want to build trust and rapport with your clients is, you know, so if you've got clients and you say to your clients, look, I'm going to get back to you at, you know, 4 o'clock this afternoon with that information. If you don't get back to them at 4 o'clock that afternoon because, you know, you get tied up or whatever, then what happens is you've just lost trust with those people because they're expecting you to call them back at 4 o'clock. If you don't have the answers at 4 o'clock to call them back, you still need to contact them and say, hey, you know, Peter, I haven't got that information yet, but I will have it. I'm still working through it. So it's really important that, you know, when you make a commitment and a promise to your client, that you keep it. And the big thing is, you know, then we talk about, you know, people talk about price all the time and, you know, do people buy on price? And people do buy on price if you let them, right? And when you're selling anything, whether it's your online stuff, whether you take the phone calls into your business, whether you've got a bricks and mortar business, but the biggest thing is you've got to sell yourself first, because people buy from people, and people buy from humans. So you've got to sell yourself first, sell your company and your business second, and sell your product third. The product will sell itself, if people know, like, and trust you. All right, because people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And I guess you think about that is if you think about the last time that you went out and bought anything from someone that you didn't like, and you know, very rarely do people buy from people they don't like. So it is really important that you do that right. And you've got to have it that, you know, when you have people that work for you, you've got to let them know that that's not how we operate here. We don't sell here on price. And you know, when you're selling your product, if your product price is here at, you know, 500 or 1,000, whatever the price may be, and the presentation, whether it be online or face to face, or whatever you give the client, and the presentation value is down here, then that's all you're going to ever do is you're going to sell on price. But if the price is here and you do a wow presentation that the perceived value is up here, then the facts that you're going to negotiate on price are going to be a lot less. And the people that negotiate on price all the time are the people that don't do the A to Z right. And if you don't do the A to Z right, then what happens is that's where you end up at, right? So what you've got to remember is the price is long forgotten, you know, but the experience and quality are remembered forever. And so if I just ask this question, and I know we can go into the chat screen, but if we can everyone just comment something in the chat screen. What do you think is one thing that your competitors don't have? In your business, if you looked at your business right now, what do you think, and just type in the chat screen, what do you think is the one thing that you can call it out, I don't mind either way.
We just put your hand up and just make it live, and so we can deal with it. Yep. Anyone?
Yeah, service, yeah, is one thing, yeah.
Well, I get people coming to me because I explain things in language they can understand.
Okay, yeah, righto. So they come to you, yeah, righto. And you're on the thing there, Jeff. There's one thing your competitors don't have, that your business does have, and that's next slide.
Next slide.
Which is you. Okay. They can't get you at any other business. So that's the one thing you've got to remember, is that you come with your business. So, you know, if a competitor says to you, oh, I can buy that product cheaper elsewhere, they probably can buy that product or service cheaper elsewhere, but they don't get you elsewhere. Okay. And we've got strategies to do with price, which we don't have time to run through today, but they can't buy you elsewhere. And you can say to your competitor, well, that's great. You can buy that product, you know, or service elsewhere, but you realize you don't get me. And if you've built all that trust and rapport and they've come back to you, then that puts you in the box seat. Can I just ask you this question? If someone comes back to you or rings you up or walks into your bricks and mortars business or whatever the case may be and says to you, I can buy your product or service cheaper elsewhere, what is the first thing that should tell you?
Haven't built the trust.
Sorry?
You haven't built up the trust yet.
Yeah, that's one thing, Warren. What else does it tell you? If they come back to you and say, I can buy this widget elsewhere for, you know, if your widget's 500 and I can buy that widget elsewhere for 450, what is it tell? What is one thing it should tell you?
They haven't seen your point of difference.
Yeah, partly, yeah. Okay, I'll tell you what it tells you. It tells you they want to do business with you. Because if they didn't want to do business with you, they wouldn't have came back to your business. They wouldn't have phoned you. They wouldn't have done anything and told you they could have bought it cheaper elsewhere. They would have bought it down the road. Mm-hmm. But you have built that trust and rapport with them that they like you more than your competitor. That's why they've come back to you. Okay? If they didn't like you more than your competitor, they would have bought down the road. Okay? So what you've got to think about is, in the new model of selling today is about selling solutions to people's problems. So in the old model of selling in the old days, we used to spend 10% of our sale process building rapport with the client. Then we'd spend 20% of the sale process qualifying what the client's needs were. Then we spent 30% of the process, the sales process, in doing a presentation. And in the old days, if your product or service had 110 points, we told that client about those 110 points, because that's what we did. And then when we finished all that, then we'd sit down and we'd try and club them as hard as we could to try and close the deal. Okay? And that's what we used to do. And that's what people, and you know, the sad part is people are still doing that today in sales. And who's heard of the saying in sales, the ABC of selling? Always be closing. Has everyone heard of that? Okay. Well, you want to get rid of that saying of the ABC of selling, and as far as always be closing, and change it to the ABC of selling, which is my ABC, which is always be caring. If you're caring for your client, then you'll do business with them. So the new model of selling is about spending 40% of the time in building trust. And that's about asking the right questions to understand your customer's needs, because the sales process is all about your customer. It's not about you getting the sale done as quick as you can and banking the commission or banking the sale. It's about building trust with your client, asking the questions, because if you ask the right questions, out of those 101 things that your product or service does, there's only 2 or 3 things that the client cares about. And that's the dominant buying motives. So after you, oh, sorry, Dave, can you just go back?
Go back.
One bit. Yeah, sorry, mate. And then, then you spend the time finding out what their needs are. Okay, it's really important to find out what the customer needs out of this meeting with you today. Then when you do all that, then we only spend 20% of the time on presenting the solution to the problem. And that's what we do, because we've done all the hard work. And then at the end of it, asking for the business is pretty easy. So if you've done the A to Z right, it's pretty easy to say, hey, Dave, you happy to go ahead? You happy to do the paperwork? Dave goes, yeah, I am. Because you've done everything and you've thought about them and you've cared about them through the whole process. You've built trust with them. You found out what their needs are, and you've done you've presented the solution to their problem. So it's easier to do the sell when you do that. You're right, Dave. Yep.
Next.
So the big question is to understand their needs, is to ask the right lot of questions. So, and what I say to this is that, you know, listening builds trust and trust builds relationships. And when you're asking your clients questions, it's really important to listen to understand, not to respond, because too many salespeople ask a question, presume they think they know what the answer is going to be, and they're already ready to respond to that answer, and that's not what the customer wants to hear. So, you know, to understand their needs, you want to ask what their existing situation is. You want to feel what they feel they need and why. Technical specs and requirements about, you know, how it's going to fix their problem they've got. You want to find out what their budget is, because if your widget's $1,000 and their budget's $100, then you need to sort that out early. If someone says to you, you know, my budget's, you know, in Dave's business, which is a monthly fee, if someone said to Dave, my budget's $300 a month, the first question that Dave should say next is, yeah, I appreciate that, Ian. Is the budget flexible? Okay. So the thing with it is, when someone says my budget's $300 a month, if you said to someone, oh, well, it's going to cost you more than that, they've got a barrier up because their budget's $300. Yeah. So you've got to use a bit of empathy, then use a bit of permission, and then question. So, hey, Dave, I appreciate your budget's $300 a month. Can I just ask you one question? Oh, what's that, Ian? Is the budget flexible if we can get the right solution for you? Okay. So that's what it's about. You got to find out who the decision makers are, because if you're putting your sales pitch to someone and the husband or the wife are the decision makers, or there's 3 people on the board, the decision makers, if they're not all in the room, then you're not going to do business today. So you need to get all the decision makers in the room. You need to ask the questions. What's the time frame? When are you looking at doing something? You need to find out if they're shopping you with other competition. So, for example, and I'll use Dave's business again. If Dave got a new inquiry in his business, you know, Dave needs to find out. So, you know, one of the questions would be, so who else are you looking at, or what else are you looking at in the market? And if Ian said, oh, I'm looking at, you know, ABC online website people, then Dave should say to them, so have you spoke to ABC yet? And if they go, yes, I have, his next question's got to be, he's got to say, hey, fantastic. And how was that experience? So you ask how that experience was, so that if they go, oh, the experience was fantastic, they're going to do this for me, that for me, this for me, that for me. So you can find out all the things that floated their boat that got them excited about talking to ABC company. Or they might say, look, Dave, to be honest with you, the experience was bloody disgusting. They made me wait on the phone for an hour, or they made me stand around for an hour, or they made me do this, or they made me do that. Then you would say, wow, Dave, how did that make you feel? Oh, it really annoyed me. Tell me more, Dave. So what I'm doing there is really disturbing the client and getting all that information out of them. And they're starting to think about how frustrated they were with the competition. And you haven't said anything. And we don't bag competition, but we ask questions so the customer thinks about their experience. Okay? You ask them about their options already considered, which we spoke about. And then you bring up potential objections early. So if you know that your product or service gets the same objection from every client, then have a preemptive strike and bring it up early and get it out. Okay? And I can give you examples about that when we go into questions and things. So things to disturb them, but things might be the resale value on the product. It might be the results that your service delivers over the opposition. It might be that they could be losing money. It could be maintenance costs. It could be the materials that, if it's a widget, the materials that one widget uses to the other. It could be the damage, could be wear and tear, could be size, could be design, could be downtime, could be servicing costs. Now that could be servicing costs of keeping websites updated. You know, we have a monthly fee to update our website opposed to, you know, the opposition. Could be them making a mistake, could be a safety issue, could be peace of mind, it could be the warranty. So by asking the right questions, you can find out how to disturb them and then get them move along. And, you know, it's really important, you know, as I mentioned before, about asking people how their experience was with their competitor. So what you want to do in business is you want to become a friend in the business to your clients. So you want them to be ringing you because they say, if I want, you know, websites, or if I want this or I want that, I'm going to Dave because he's a friend in the business. And I don't, you know, if you've got friends in the business, I've got commercial property in Orange, and if I need an electrician, I don't ring around to get prices on getting things done. I've got an electrician up there I've been using for years. I ring him and ask him to go and fix it. He sends me the invoice and I pay him, but he knows that if he blows me out on price, he'll never get another phone call from me again. So if you can build up that relationship with people that they just keep ringing you, you do the right thing by them. You've got to make it profitable because business has got to be profitable. But if you do the right thing by them, they just keep coming back to you and look after them. And the thing is, what you to think about with every client that you deal with, I want you to think about how you can +1 the experience that you give them. Okay? Forget about customer service, and we give great customer service and all that. It's not about the service, it's about the experience. And I want you to think about how can I +1 my experience that I do with my customer. So that's a thing to think about. One other thing I'll leave you with, and how am I going for time, Dave?
Yeah, you're okay. You're okay.
I'm still okay.
For some Q&A next, so that's all.
Sorry,
good.
mate. What was that?
We've got some time for Q&A next.
Okay.
So just yeah.
Right. So one thing I want you also to think about is that if you have people, if your business is online and people, and it depends on the size of what you're selling things, but if you've got a bricks and mortars business and people come into your business and they look at a product or service and they don't buy then and they walk out, I want to ask you this, or if they ring into your business to get a quote on, you know, websites at your place, Dave, or whatever the case may be, and they say, yeah, no problems, leave it with me, I want to think about it, and they go out, do we ring them that afternoon and have someone in your business be the customer experience manager and ring up and go, hey, Ian, I'm, you know, ABC from ABC Web Designs, and I know that you rang our business today and you spoke to Dave and you got a price on a new web page, and you're looking at 5 pages, you're looking at this, this, and this. I just want to know, how was your experience dealing with Dave today? All right? Because when someone hangs up and goes away, they're going away to shop you, right? But if you can get someone else, a third party in your business, to ring up and be the customer experience manager and be fully personalised and know exactly what they looked at in your business, that they looked at a website that had 5 pages and they wanted to do this and that, and ask them how was their experience dealing with Dave. Now, they might say, our experience was unbelievable, and we're actually going to call Dave again in the morning, and we're going to go through this and tidy all this up. No problems in the world, Ian. Would you like me just to check Dave's diary while you're here and I'll lock that appointment in for you? Or they might say, oh, look, I really love the concept and the design, but I wasn't happy with the price. It was just too much. The experience manager does not get into a sale pitch. They go, oh, sorry, what are you comparing it to? But ask questions to get more information. And can I get Dave, if they are still happy to deal with Dave, or our manager to call you back and see if we can't rectify this? But the problem is, if you don't do that, what happens is that 3 or 4 days later, if you decide to follow the people up, because most people don't follow up, is that it's too late, because they say, oh no, look, we could have bought, we end up buying cheaper elsewhere because we didn't think you could do this or that. And they didn't think because they got something that satisfied them earlier. But if you'd have rang that afternoon or had someone from your business ring as a customer experience manager, you may have been able to negate that, and you may have been able to turn that thinker into a buyer. All right?
Good point.
Okay. All right. So that's, and I mean, I could go on and on, Dave, but I'm conscious of time and things.
So what I've heard, I heard this years ago, is during a sales process, or when you're talking to someone, the person that talks next loses. You know, when you ask a question and then people, you know, the salesman wants to jump in and add something to it. If you just shut up and listened and waited and let the person explain, then he's got a bit more information. Or it's like going and doing a close, and then if you say something, you've lost, you know. But then the customer can say something, you can come back with something else and work through it, you know. The same as when you're asking what they're, you know, trying to get their needs out of them, you know. If you don't find it, you've lost, you know.
And the big thing with that, Dave, is that when you ask a customer a question and they answer, before you go back in again, just draw breath, because the customer may have stopped and they may be thinking about, and they may want to continue on. But if you jump straight in as soon as they stop, then what happens is you lose finding out what else they had to say. So when they're finished talking, just give it 10 seconds and then go on.
That's
also,
a long 10 seconds. That's a long 10 seconds. That's a long 10 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because everyone wants to jump in and they're so anxious, and, you know, oh, I've got some feedback, and, you know, and
because it's a bit like the price thing. When a customer comes back to you and says, I can buy your product cheaper elsewhere, the problem is what the salesperson does is the salesperson gets into what I call salesperson's vomit, and they go into all the reasons of why you should buy from our business. Oh, Dave, I'll do this for you. I'll do that for you. I'll do this for you. And you know what? The customer's got his barrier up because he says, I can buy that widget for $50 elsewhere, and you're 55. And all he's thinking about, are you going to do it for 50 or not? But we, you know, salespeople get into this big spurge, oh, we're local and we're this and we're that. The customer doesn't care. He's thinking of $50. But if you turn that around and go, hey, Dave, I really appreciate you bringing that quote back in today, or ringing me up with that quote, or whatever the case may be, can I just ask you one question? Yeah, what's that doing? Hey, Dave, if price wasn't an issue in this transaction, who would you rather buy from, me or them? And the customer will go, well, you know he's going to say you, because he's ringing you back up with the quote, or he's come back in with the quote. I want to buy from you, Ian. I really appreciate that, Dave. Can I just ask you one more question? Yeah, what's that, Ian? Why would you rather buy from me? The customer will tell you the reasons of why they want to buy from you, the reasons why they came back to your business. And you go, Dave, I really appreciate that. And that's what a lot of our customers are saying. Dave, can I just ask you one more question? Yeah, what's that, Ian? Oh, what's all that worth to you? Now, the customer's not going to say nothing if they've rolled off a heap of benefits of why they want to buy from you.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, that goes on and on, but that's what it's about. It's about just having the questions. And I call them tools in your toolbox that you pull out to use at certain times.
Yeah. So has anyone else got any questions? I'll just see.
Ian, have you had an experience of seeing how these methods translate into better conversion rates?
Sorry, what was that, Warren?
Have you got any numbers about better conversion rates as a result of using these methods?
The results are on, I guess, exact percentages. We've had customers, and I haven't got exact percentage, it's gone up 90 or 80 or 100%, but on our YouTube page, we've got testimonials on there that businesses have had record months after record months from using our sales training. And we've got a company at the moment that are a manufacturing company. And through COVID-19, they've been through our program, and they've had 2 record months in March and April, which, you know, when a lot of businesses in April struggled, and they had another great May and that. But that's the sort of results. But the testimonials are on our YouTube page.
The reason I ask is that a lot of businesses say to me, oh, we don't have enough leads or inquiries from our advertising or whatever. But the real answer is they actually do have enough. They just don't convert them because they're not doing what you just said.
Yeah,
they're letting
100%.
prospects walk out the door.
Yeah, 100%, Warren, because if you said that, yeah, sorry, mate.
I'm going to say, if you can get them to double their conversion rate, they'll double their business. They don't need any more leads or inquiries. They've got plenty there quite often.
Yeah, exactly. And when we talk to businesses, they say to us exactly that. They'll say, oh, you know, we just need to get more leads in to close more. And I'll say, what's your closing ratio now? And they go, oh, it's 2 in 10. So what happened to the other 8 that walk out the door? You know, what about them? If we closed 4 in 10 or 5 in 10, you wouldn't have to spend any money on marketing, and you'd have another 3 or 4 people that are happy about your business. And that's the thing. Everyone thinks it's the leads, but the people aren't closing everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to, if I can, Dave, just share another experience. Recently, we're in the market for some new blinds or shutters at the house, $5,000 or $6,000 type purchase. We got four people separately to come and quote on us. 3 weeks later, none of the 4 had even bothered to ring us back about our quote.
Why they bother going in the first place?
Yeah, and I thought 4 out of 4 hadn't even bothered to come back on a quote. But I picked one out to ring, and what Ian was saying is true. The one I decided to actually go to the trouble of ringing them back was the guy that I built the most rapport with at the time he came to do the quote. You know, I really felt he you know, exactly what Ian said. And that's what made me decide on him. I didn't even go into the question of the quote or price. It was who did I feel comfortable, even though he hadn't run me back either. He was the guy I picked out to ring back and say, he got the $6,000 business. Interesting.
Okay. Got any other questions for Ian at this minute? I'm just worried. Oh, we're short on time. So this, you can replay this again. It's going to be in the Facebook mentoring group, Easy Biz Mentoring. So let me just jump to the next slide. And you can't see the link below that, can you? Can you see the link at the bottom of the page, people? Everyone? Yeah, you can. Okay. Well, in my view, you can't. So if you Google Ian Parker International, and then just write a review. Now, when you write a review for someone, and this goes on his Google My Business page. So when someone Googles Ian Parker International, it's the first thing that's going to come up on the right-hand side on a large screen device, and on a small screen device is before everything else, apart from paid ads. But if you Google Ian Parker International and write a review, but remember, when you're writing a review, some people put 4 stars because they're too scared to put 5. If you think that you got better than 80% satisfaction, it's 5 stars. I mean, do your maths. I mean, if it's 1 star, it's less than 20% satisfaction. You know what I mean? Whereas some people are pretty tight with giving stars and only give 4 when a presenter like Ian is worth 5 in my books. So that's, I just wanted to get that across, you know. So, but the thing is that when you get a review in your business, on your Google My Business page, or your YouTube, or your comment on your Facebook, or on your LinkedIn profile, respond to it, okay, and build that rapport. So it helps. So you're building that trust to start with. But if someone gives you a comment and you can't be bothered to give a comment back, how's that going to make them feel? You know, so, and when you're doing a comment for someone and you really like the service or whatever it was, explain it right out. And those keywords, the Google picks up on as well. So you just need to remember that. So give as gain and pay it forward. So that's what I would recommend, you know. So I'd really like that, because I really appreciate, Ian, your time today. It was fantastic. Next week we're going to be jumping into going back into some simple search things for local search results. Okay, and they're very simple things, and people just don't do it. And whether it's writing an article, or whether it be reviews on your Google My Business page, or just updating your Google My Business page, there's a heap of stuff that we can do, and it's easy and it's cheap because it's free. So that's what we're going to cover off next week. Did everyone get some value out of that?
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
All cool? Okay. Okay, well, thanks everyone for your participation. Yep.
Dave, just if you want to go, if you want to go to my website, which is Ian Parker International, ianparkerinternational.com, there is plenty of free stuff on there to help you and your business. You can download, if you fill out any of the quizzes on there, I'll come back to you on it. There's access to our free power course on there. There's a heap of, up in the top left-hand corner, there's a tab up there that says free stuff. You can click on that. There's so much stuff in there to help you and your business, help yourself. And if I can help anyone with anything, I just put my email address up there. Send me an email. Happy to have a chat to you, and I'm happy to help you out with anything I can.
Yep. And this is one of the courses that Ian's done, and it's really simple. It's five videos. There's no fluff. It's just straight into it, and it's good stuff like you just had then on each of those 5 subjects. So that link there actually forwards to Warren's shop, his online store for business training. But you can just click on the link, and Ian will send you through those, and they come through as an email. So you don't even have to talk to the man.
No. And you get them for life. That's the beauty. You get the videos. You own them for life. Then.
Yeah. So, and you can watch them and rewatch them. But okay, guys. Well, so just pay it forward, guys, and see you next week.